So I'm just going to run through this notebook. We have an important development, so basically I'm just going to run through this. We're just setting up some dependencies here. So we need some specific Python libraries so that we can do visualization, numerical operations, machine learning tools. We need to do entropy calculation. We need to do integration and symbolic geometry. We're using very interesting geometry here. This is a huge breakthrough. Leonard Susskind came up with this concept of string theory where he talks about basically universal hologram. That reality is just a hologram, and it's all information based. And then there's been further work on that. It's kind of inspired by things like anti-de Sitter space, gravitational lensing, and there's a guy named Eric Verlinde who actually, looking at dark matter, came up with these concepts about entropy. And it's really that Eric Verlinde's work was information entropy, basically, and his work was really pivotal in what I'm doing, because I'm taking the Riemannian manifolds from 100 years ago, the geometric mapping of information onto a shape, and I'm putting another layer on that, which it's inspired by the work of actually Feynman diagrams too. I'll show you what that means. I don't want to get off into the weeds though with the science of it. We'll just look at what we're doing. Okay, so I'm creating some data here, and down here I've got 1,000 by 4 matrix, and we go ahead and plot that onto a two-dimensional space. And this, what we're doing here is we're binning this, and then we're putting, and then it looks like it's clustered. It is clustered actually, but what it means is it's kind of anti what do you call that? Anti-intuitive, because when we think of entropy, we think of complete distribution. When we think of non-entropy, we think of organization or these clusters like this. But the way we're mapping it, you have to think about it in reverse, because we've binned these. So what that means is when you see these large gaps, that means it's high entropy. But when you see even distribution, it means it's low entropy. Now, what we're trying to do, so we need to compute the entropic mass down here. So the entropic mass is 9.4 basically. And then what do we want to do is we want to apply Fisher information metric, which is it's a measurement metric that's used in these geographic spaces, right? It's like for geographic measurement. I won't get into the details about that, but basically here's the Fisher metric tensor. So that's telling us, yeah, I won't even get into that. Well, now we need to look at entropic curvature, and what's that? And then we want to plot that out. And now this is similar to a Feynman diagram, because whenever you have a complex system, what Feynman did is he just said, well, you map out all the degrees of freedom in a two-dimensional space, and then you plot the shortest distance between the spaces, and then you use that as sort of a post, sort of a pivot, in order to be able to map the entire system. That's a highly simplified description of what we're doing, but that's what we are doing here. We're looking at curvature. So remember, this is not 2D actually. This is mapped onto a 3D space, and now we're going to project it. It's mapped onto a 3D space. It's projected onto a 2D space. So it's holographic projection. We're using that principle here. Now we're going to imply anti-entropic control. What that means is that we want to actually reduce entropy, and we're doing it in a stage. We're using a KDE based stepped entropy reduction. And look what happens. Our initial entropy measurement was 9.4, and then you see how it kind of wavered here. then it went up, and then it went down, 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 and we went from 99.4 down to 8.2. That's 12 point drop, 12.2 point drop, 12.2 point drop. And that's what here's what this means. We went from high entropy to low entropy. Oh wait. Yeah, this my Jupyter notebook is behaving very strangely. Hold on, let me pause the video. Okay, I'm just running all the cells again. This says that this one has not run yet. These have not run yet. You can see the asterisks. Oh, no, you can see the asterisks where they ran. Oh, number 9 ran. Okay, so here's our drop. That's what we expected. So visualization. Do I have something wrong with my visualizations? Yeah, something's wrong with my notebook. Okay, there we go. So you can see that the distribution clusters are very tight here, but they're much more distributed here. So we have actually achieved a 16% reduction in our, well, here's a 12% reduction in our entropy. Now this is huge. It's actually bigger than this because I'm making entropy reduction a iterative goal in a control system. So how do you achieve, like I'm talking about in a time series, you save, in a time series you have many past imprints of state conditions, and from the present what we're trying to do is detect trends from the past in order to project some control into the current system to achieve some goal in the future, in the incoming increment. And this is a decision process now in a new type of AI consciousness where we're saying, how do we define what to target in the future, right? What do we want to do? And my answer to that fundamentally is we want to resist entropy. We'd like to at least hold the system from degradation, whether it's an information system or a physical system. So we want to at least resist entropy, but what we've done is reduced entropy. So we have introduced order into this system here. It's not just resisting entropy. We've actually introduced order into the system. So we have a self-ordering decision processor here. Now that together with what I achieved the other day by bringing a PID controller into the information space, so knowing that my universal translator does work, and it can reverse the paradigm. I mean, it's already possible to use like transfer entropy measurements and some of the tools from information space over into the physical systems, but it's not been easy to take physical tools and use them in the information space. And what we have is a universal system now that works across every domain. There's no need to customize if we want to move control from the medical world into energy grids, or into social media, or communications systems, or this is a universal control framework that is future poised. I mean, nothing's going to touch this for 50 years. And I've got proof of concept from 2 powerful experiments here.